What is up, everybody? Welcome to another video. I'm Brandon from Tattooing 101. If you're new to this channel, make sure you like and subscribe down below. In today's video, what we're going to go over is how to draw clouds. I'm going to show you two different ways to do it, a traditional way and a neo-traditional way, and how to even incorporate clouds in a pre-existing design that you already have, or you're doing some filler work. Because it's really important to be able to do filler if you're doing tattoos, if you want to be able to create sleeves, things like that. That's why I'm making these videos, showing you exactly how to do so for your designs. So let's get into how to draw clouds. So there's a couple of different ways to do this depending on the style you're wanting to do. I'm going to show you two different ways, which would be neo-traditional and traditional. Obviously they're going to be pretty close, but still different and good to learn both styles. So let's start out with traditional. Traditional designs are obviously, nice and thick, super easy, as long as you have your line work down. So that's the biggest thing. If you can't do line work, then neo-traditional, traditional style tattoos are going to be super hard for you to be able to tattoo effectively. So whenever you're starting out, you want to think about how you want your cloud to look. So obviously we're going to start out with just a regular circle. You can see I have my red sketcher pencil. And just going to start out with the basic shape that we want our cloud to be. Now you could really have it, oblong, you could have it circular, you could have it come to points. Depending on how you want your cloud to look will change how you want it done. So we'll start out with one side. Let's start out with the left side. We'll just start out with getting the structure for our cloud. So we're going to start out with the little puffy parts of the cloud, and this is obviously traditional. And just changing everything. You don't want it to look too symmetrical because clouds obviously aren't symmetrical in the sky. They change and move around in the sky, so they're always changing. So you want to have that in mind whenever you are drawing them for a tattoo. Some of these little puffs are going to be bigger, some are going to be super small. So just adding some effects to that. Now obviously this looks like a child drew it because we're just getting the sketch down. We don't want to go into detail. And let's add some lightning to it right here. So it's a little storm cloud. Cool, so now that we have the basis of this, we could go in with our blue pencil, turn down the opacity of this layer, and go through and do a basic outline of what this is going to look like. So we could go through, turn down the thickness of it to the point of where we'd actually tattoo it. Just go through and make it how we want it to look. Now this isn't our final one, so we could still mess up and change things around at this layer. You just don't want to be changing anything on your last layer because that's what you're going to use for a stencil. So at this point you could still mess around if you want to change some stuff. Let's say I wanted to do this one in front of this one, you could just go over top of it like that, erase this part, and you're still good to go. But you don't want to be doing stuff like that on your final layer. And then we'll add our lightning here. Right like that. Now we can get rid of this layer, the red one, and this is exactly how you do it on paper too. You just use a light box. It's just a whole lot easier for me to show you on an iPad than it is, pulling out a light box because it's super hard to see on camera. But this is the exact same steps you'd follow actually doing it on paper. Then you can go through here, go to your Digi Steady pencil, and this is going to be our final design, just checking our line weights. Going through and completing the design. And clouds could really look however you want. Obviously, clouds in nature move around a ton, change their shapes, do a ton of different stuff. So you can make clouds look really how you want. With a traditional style, it's kind of pretty simple, the way that you're doing it, because you don't want to go too crazy or too in detail because it's traditional, thick lines, super simple shading. If you know how you're doing, super simple shading. If you know what you're doing, you'll be able to, make good line work with your traditional design and be able to fill it in. But with a traditional design, there you go. That's how I do clouds. Pretty much exactly how I do clouds for any design when it comes to traditional. If I'm adding clouds to another design, it's pretty much, this is what it would look like. Say there's a cross in the middle of this, and I'm adding clouds around it. So, I'm just going to do build up of clouds this way, and then just be able to do that to a design. And that's how you fill in clouds in a traditional manner. So with this one done, we'll go on to how I do neo-traditional. Again, we always start out with red, our sketch pencil. And with neo-traditional, we're going to add a little bit more depth to the design, just because we don't want to do too simple or it'll just look like traditional. Everything will just look exactly like the style we just did. So we're going to change some things around and make it a little bit more visually appealing. So we'll still start out with the same basic shape in red. But we're going to add some parts right here and maybe have the top come up like this. So we'll start out and let's scale this down a little bit. Then we'll have some lightning come down. And lightning's not going to look as simple as, you know, the traditional one. We're going to do it a little bit differently, make it look more visually appealing and more like static, stuff like that. So we're just going to have some sharp edges to it and add some stuff that way. So we'll add some of the clouds coming down this way. And you saw in the traditional one, I pretty much did the outline and left it like that. But the neo-traditional one, I'm going to add some things in the middle too, just to show some extra depth, which you don't really have to worry about with traditional. But with neo-traditional, you want to do as much as you can to have it look like an awesome tattoo. So that's what we're going to do. Now we're going to go into the second layer and work with our blue. Obviously, if you're first starting out, this is going to take you a lot more time. So if you're working with me, you know, feel free to pause the video and, you know, work at your pace. Don't try to keep up with me because I've been doing it forever. But whatever pace you're comfortable with, that's a great way to start. Okay, so you can see that it definitely has a different style than our traditional design we just did. Doing our lightning a different way. Okay, so normally I wouldn't do it that thick. But yeah, just for sketching, it's fine. We pretty much have the basics exactly where we want them to be. And we could just go through, and for our final one, we could just use our thinner liner, go through and clean this up. So let's start out with the lightning part. Just following our lines, but we could change little things as we go just to make it, you know, how we want it. We just want to stick to the basics that we already put down, so we're not guessing where everything needs to go. We're going to work with some different line weights with this, so I'm going to make my liner go a little bit bigger because I'll probably use different size liners when it comes to the lightning and the cloud part. So I'll probably use like a 14, and for the lightning I'll use like a 9-round liner, or maybe even a 7 depending on how big the design is. So definitely make sure you're using different line weights when it comes to neo-traditional designs, and that'll help you out with your tattooing. So you can see as we build everything up, it went from a mess looking like a kid did it into an actual tattoo design. That's how every one of my drawings really is based on, and how you should be setting up everything to draw. You know, start out with sketching, then go in with your blue pencil, go have everything set up a little bit better, and then you finally have your completed design that you could print off and tattoo right away. Obviously these lines would be done in yellow. You know, I wouldn't really outline them in black. Depending on what it is, sometimes you could outline them in black and then go in with yellow, things like that. to make a really great design. But this is how I draw clouds in traditional and neo-traditional, and you could see that they are completely different when you look at them separately. Two different designs, same basic thing, but two different styles. You know, these are all the same line weight. This has different line weights. It has more style to it. You can see that the inside of this has more detail when this is just going to be shading, things like that. So if you like information like this and you're still having issues with drawing, the best thing that you can do is pick up our flash book. It has a ton of different designs in it that I have personally drawn for you guys to be able to learn how to draw and learn how to tattoo. You could use them for tattooing or even just to practice drawing. You could redraw them, change some things on it, and make your own designs with them. So I'll leave a link in the description below if you want to check that out. I highly recommend that if you're struggling with drawing or even want to learn different styles of drawing. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you on the next video. You guys have a wonderful day.